still sitting in the glow. Phones charged, lights on, pretending we don't know. But the forest is silent, the river's running low, and the flame on our plates is the strongest fire we throw. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. 7 boundaries broken, the earth pushed past the line. Climate, land, species, fresh water, chemicals, nutrients, oceans in decline. Not danger, disaster in real time. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Metafoodians rise, this is your power. And here in India, one truth stands the same. Milk is not just milk, dairy feeds the flame. Cows and methane, fields and forests turn to grain. Politics, culture, carbon, all wired to the same chain. Every cup of curd is heat in the air, every block of butter is a forest repair. It's not a small habit, it's a planetary affair. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is our hour. Energy fixes half the hurt, Dr. Rao made that clear. But food fixes the other half, the half that's burning here. Change the plate, change the land, change the future's atmosphere. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Metafoodians unite, this is your choir. Every millet, every fruit, every sapseed, every bean is water on the wildfire of a world we've never seen. Every oil-free bite is a river turning clean. This is not perfection, it's direction. Not pressure, but protection. A week of choices can cool a generation. A company's courage can ignite a nation. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. Metafoodians unite, Metafoodians ignite, sharing love in the metazone, lighting the path to a cooler home. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Together we rise, together we inspire.
Welcome to the Planet B podcast, where truth, transformation, and faith converge. Join us as we flip the script on ecological despair, guided by Dr. Sailesh Rao's vision for a compassionate, rewilded vegan world. Let's begin the journey to the greatest transformation in human history.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Planet B podcast, episode 15, the Vegan Rewilding Solution. Dr. Rao, this is going to be a really good one.
Yes. It puts it all in a nutshell, what is the solution to all our problems? And I start with a quote by Dr. Michael Greger, who said, "We should all be eating fruits and vegetables as if our lives depend on it." Because it does.
Yes, it does.
Collectively, it does. Very much so. And fruits, vegetables, and then grains, nuts, seeds, plant-based foods and whole plant foods should become normalized. And that's the solution to planetary health. It's a solution to human personal health, and it's a solution for sustainability.
The big question, Dr. Rao, is what would happen to our Earth if humanity went vegan?
If humanity went vegan, everyone started eating healthy plant foods. Health becomes normalized as opposed to diseases. And then you will discover that you need far less land to grow our food than we use today. Which means you can return 40% of the land area of the planet back to nature, on which you can restore the original ecosystem that used to be there. It could be mangroves, it could be prairies, it could be the original ecosystems. So forests, mangroves, prairies, anything that was there before, you can restore them. And when you restore that, you give land back to the wild animals. So the wild animal population will start growing again. If you look at the statistics today, of all the mammals on Earth, 36% is human beings in terms of total weight. 60% is all the animals that we raise on farms, and only 4% is wild mammals. Right?
It's unbelievable. It's so crazy.
Now, if you look at just land mammals, it is 37% for human beings, 61% for farmed animals, and only 2% for all the land mammals. It becomes 4% when you include all the whales and the fish put together. Okay, so returning 40% of the land back to nature and not using farmed animals for our food suddenly rebalances the weight of mammals on the planet. We take the 36% that's human beings, and then we don't have the 60% that's land mammals for farming, and then you return 40% of the land, so now the wild mammals can grow back. Okay,
right?
And especially when you also stop fishing, the mammals in the ocean will also recover. So it addresses the number one planetary boundary transgression, which is the loss of biosphere integrity. Immediately, it addresses that. There used to be 5 to 6 trillion trees on the planet. And by chopping down forests and turning that into grazing land, we have cut half the trees on the planet. So there are now only 3 trillion trees. So when you return 40% of the land back to nature, you can restore the 3 trillion trees that you cut. So the number of trees on the planet goes from 3 trillion back to 6 trillion again. And those extra 3 trillion trees that grow will suck up the chemical pollution that's there on the planet. And they will store the chemical pollution in their trunks as they grow. Okay? So it cleans up the second worst planetary boundary transgression, which is novel entities. It literally starts cleaning the planet when you do that. So the vegan rewilding solution has immediately addressed the top two.
Right away.
Right away. Okay? Start sucking it up. And of course, you have to stop pouring 220 billion tons of chemical pollution into the environment every year, which we do for mainly because we think that brown toilet paper is no good. It has to be white. Things like that, right? So we do silly things like that in order to pollute the earth. Okay? So a lot of the chemical pollution is unnecessary that we are doing. So we have to rethink all our processes. But the existing pollution gets cleaned up right away with those trees. And the third is nitrogen and phosphorus loading. So that's the third worst planetary boundary transgression. So that's the excess nitrogen that we are taking from the air and converting it into fertilizer and pouring it on our land to grow crops. And half the crops, half the grains are being used to feed animals. So when you no longer have to grow animals, You don't need all those crops. So I claim that we can cut down at least a quarter of the grains that we are growing. Even if you say I need to use the other extra in order to address world hunger, but you can cut down on the nitrogen and phosphorus use by at least a quarter. So that addresses the third planetary boundary transgression. And when the trees come back, the trees are going to be sequestering CO2 from the atmosphere. Okay, so you will see the CO2 levels start decreasing in the atmosphere instead of increasing all the time. So when people talk about not burning fossil fuels, they're only talking about not increasing the CO2 level in the atmosphere. They're not talking about decreasing. You cannot decrease the CO2 levels in the atmosphere by installing solar panels and driving electric cars. The only way you can do that is by bringing back the trees to restore the forests on the land. Okay? All of these machines that we do to suck CO2 cost trillions of dollars. And it's unclear what you're going to do with that CO2 after you suck it down. They think it's going to stay down there forever. No, it'll pop up. So, whereas trees can store them forever, okay, if you restore the forest. So it addresses the number 4, climate change as well. Number 5 is land use. That's the 5th planetary boundary transgression. There again, when you return 40% of the land back to nature, you are restoring that. So you are addressing that planetary boundary transgression fundamentally. Number 6 is water use, freshwater change. By bringing back the forests, you're restoring the freshwater cycles of the planet. You're repairing them. Okay. And the number 7, ocean acidification. Now, ocean is becoming more acidic because there is more CO2 in the atmosphere. And that CO2 dissolves in water and becomes carbonic acid. That's why the ocean is becoming more acidic. Now, when you start reducing the CO2 in the atmosphere, because you brought back the 3 trillion trees that we cut, the ocean will become less acidic. So it addresses number 7 as well. So can you imagine, this one simple change, going vegan and rewilding the planet, addressing all 7 planetary boundary transgressions. And yet people don't want to see it. And I'm saying, hello, what kind of scientist are you if you don't see this as a solution?
One of the most fascinating parts about this too is, Dr. Rao, you're using their data to prove this. It's not, this stuff isn't coming out of thin air. It's not coming from a magic hat. Like, this is data from these organizations. You're
Correct.
just putting it together and showing it to them.
Correct, yeah. It's IPCC's 5th assessment report and the 6th assessment report. That's all I'm using. And using the data in those assessment reports, I'm saying the data is screaming at me to implement the vegan rewilding solution. Okay, now Eat Lancet Commission. They have come up with a planetary health diet, which calls for a 50% reduction in the use of animals. Okay, so it's saying cut down on the animal use by 50%, and that will solve all the problems. I don't know, even if you do 100%, whether we can fill all the holes we have already created in the biosphere integrity. Okay, and I don't know if it will restore chemical pollution, if it cleans it up enough for life to thrive. Right now we know that life is on a death spiral. So every 2 years we see that the wild animals are decreasing. This is why these 2 transgressions are in the purple zone. So I don't know, even if we go 100%, if that death spiral will become an upward spiral, filling all the holes in biosphere integrity and cleaning up the chemical pollution to the point where life can thrive. So I don't know how they came up with the 50%. And that too, such a nice round number.
Sounds like they don't want to move away from planet A.
So I asked them, how did you come up with this? In my estimation, I don't know if 100% will also solve the problem. I'm saying we have to do 100% and check it. But if you go and say, I know that 50% will solve all the problems, you better have good models to show that. And you better have models that match reality. And I don't know how they can build models that are that complex, that would match reality of an entire planet, right? How do you create a model that matches how a planet will behave? You can only approximate it. I begin with a position of humility that even with 100%, I don't know. Okay? Because there's nothing that tells me that 100% is enough. I say we have to go 100% and try it out. Okay? And see what else we have to address beyond that. So I'm absolutely not going to put my name on anything that says 50% is enough. As an engineer, I could never do that. I have integrity not to do that, right? And when I asked these authors of the planetary health diet, how did they come up with these numbers? Their answers were unsatisfactory. Okay. Basically, they said that they put it in their model and it seemed to stabilize it. Stabilizing it is not enough. You have to restore it.
With the terminology, stabilizing it would just mean that all of the issues we face today would continue.
Yeah. Things don't get
Yeah.
better. They just stay the
Right.
same. And they'll stay the same according to your model. But are you sure it'll stay the same in reality?
Right.
And then are you going to come back and say, excuse me, it has to be 75%? I said, just put it out there on the table and have some humility, instead of saying, I know it's going to stabilize. It's like putting out a fire. You have to put out the fire completely. You cannot say, I can let half the fire burn.
It's so common sense when you really think of it in that way.
Yeah. And also, when you do 100%, you have to change the entire foundations. So they are saying you don't have to address the foundations. You don't have to address the protein myth. You don't have to address the calcium myth. You don't have to address the growth myth, right? You just have to decrease it temporarily by 50% and then continue growing. What happens when you continue growing? It'll increase from 50% back to what it was. So it's not well thought out. It's not an engineering solution. It's not done by engineers. It's done by politicians, if you ask me. It is not based on science.
It's exciting because at least we're seeing it. That's step one. Because if
Right.
no one was seeing it, that would be the biggest problem. But there is people that are seeing it, and then it just takes sharing it with one person, and then before you know it, it spreads around the world.
Absolutely, because when you know there is a solution, and it's also about examining everything that we are doing together. So it's like rebuilding, re-engineering human engineered systems and making them all come into alignment with nature, right? So when you do a comprehensive transformation like that, why wouldn't we want to be part of it? We are in that position. We have to address everything together
Right.
and
And
not try to retain the colonial remnants.
I've seen this firsthand where when I share your data with people, immediately you do see a spark. People who do eat meat or they're not moving in this direction yet, but when they understand the data and they see it from the scientific side, it does plant a seed, and that seed can grow very quickly as well.
We have to be very dispassionate when it comes to the science and the data. Share with people exactly what is going on and that there is a solution, and that solution has to be embraced fully, not half-heartedly.
I know this is maybe redundant at this point, but scientifically and statistically, do you see any other solution besides the vegan lifestyle to address these issues?
I don't see anything that comes close to addressing all 7 planetary boundary transgressions as well as the social justice issues. I don't see any other solution that comes even close to it. Okay. All these other solutions that people are working on, like are technological solutions that are trying to maintain the system, like a CO2 sucking machine. Well, you addressed CO2, but you didn't address anything else.
Essentially, is that machine just a replacement for a forest? Is
Yeah,
that
it's a
with the
replacement
human?
for trees. Yeah,
Just shocking. It's like we could just plant the trees.
right. Yeah. But it says that, well, we have to continue eating animals. Therefore, we need more and more land. And let's put a CO2 sucking machine, which is like a compressed tree, right? That stores it in, instead of in the trunks, it stores CO2 in liquid form somewhere.
Yeah.
And you have to use a bunch of fossil fuels to run that machine or solar panels to run that machine. Yeah, that's the kind of solution that people are coming up with, and it doesn't even come close to what the vegan rewilding solution can do.
Mm.
This is why I've been promoting the vegan rewilding solution for all of our environmental and social justice issues for the last, I don't know, 15 years. I've been talking about this. So the more I study it, the more I'm convinced that this is the only way to go.
All right. And Dr. Rao, I feel you're always very approachable. So if anyone is watching this and they want some of the data, I would just encourage you to reach out to Dr. Rao. I mean, you're always willing to help and you're very graceful with your time. So thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure. And all the data is already there in the public domain.
Dr. Rao, something that we haven't touched on yet is just what is the significance of not only eating a vegan diet, but actually living a fully vegan lifestyle?
Yeah. So if you say, I'm only going to change my diet, but I'll continue wearing leather shoes, leather jackets, and so on, people are going to raise the animals just to skin them. Okay? So the vegan rewilding solution depends on the fact that you don't use animals for any purpose whatsoever. Only then can you return the land back to nature. If you use animals for their skin, people are going to be raising animals just to get their skin, and therefore that land use dividend doesn't come. It's not there, right? So to get that land use dividend, you have to completely transform our economy from an economy that uses animals to an economy that's based fully on plants. So this is why it is not just an economic transformation, it's also a spiritual transformation. It's also a cultural transformation. It's a complete whole system transformation that needs to happen for us to get that dividend. If you look at the data, our animals are providing us with 190 million tons of food on our plate in terms of dry weight. But our animals are also providing us with 140 million tons of skin and blood and bones for all the other uses, for making glue, for making medicine, for making clothes, for making shoes, and all kinds of things. Right? So there's an entire industrial apparatus that's using the remains of animals for other purposes. And now we also have vegan versions of all of them being built already. So it's about completing that and creating a completely plant-based version of human economy.
Dr. Rao, it's an exciting time to be alive. 2026 is going to be a very exciting year.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to everyone embracing this and moving forward, because we have to do it quickly, right? Nature is telling us, do it quickly. It's like when you discover you have a fire in your home. You don't sit around saying, how long can we sit around until the fire, becomes unmanageable? No, you get up and you start putting out the fire as quickly as possible.
Wonderful. So going into the next episode, chapter 16, we'll be looking at the animal agriculture position paper that Dr. Rao wrote, and it takes another look at the data. So very, very clear from a statistical standpoint on why vegan rewilding is the solution Dr. Rao, would you like to share any final words as we close out episode 15?
Yeah, thank you for being with us until now. And we are halfway there. And the rest of the way, it's going to be even more exciting because we're going to explore how this solution impacts every aspect of our lives.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Thank you so much, Dr. Rao, for your time. And we're halfway there. We got a fun half to go.
This has been a podcast from Planet B, where the future sends thank you notes. If you haven't moved here yet, we thank you for visiting.
Go ahead, Brittany.
So in terms of the economic growth and vegan rewilding, I saw the earlier morning video that Sadhana Forest needs a lot of money in order to expand. How do we help out if we're not prioritizing economic growth for rewilding purposes? Um, if if we did, maybe we could do vegan rewilding jobs. I mean, I don't know. Do we wait till
Right.
money
Yeah.
lands in our lap or something? I don't know.
No, good question. Basically, what is they asking for? It's not money. Really, it's resources to build the infrastructure to start with, to dig holes to create the water retention structures, to build the initial settlements so that people can stay there. That's what they need initially. Now, the government of India is actually supporting them now. So in the Meghalaya projects, they have something called Plant for India program that graduates can join. So university graduates, when they finish graduation, they can join this Plant for India program, and the government gives them a stipend of, I think, 30,000 rupees a month or something like that, enough for them to live on. And so they're not, dependent on others, so they can at least eat with that money. And then they are asked to go and volunteer in projects like Southern Forest. And Abhiram had gone and basically campaigned for this program with the government of India, and I think they have like 100 positions a year, something like that kids can do. And so this is the kind of support they need, and that helped him start 3 projects in Meghalaya. And I think there was some other infrastructure funding that he got from World Bank to do that, those 3 projects. So meaning, if people in the system know that this needs to be done, they have the resources already to deploy. Okay, instead of deploying it for the next startup or for some other purpose, they just want the planet to come back, and that's the reason they're deploying it.
Talking more about generally, not just the Sadhana Forest, but in terms of rewilding projects in general, needing
Right.
funding, or maybe people picking up jobs, or it's both sides. Like how you make money versus how you spend it. Like, is there should we avoid that to avoid any economic growth?
No, economic growth measured in terms of GDP is what and then wanting to grow your diabetes industry or healthcare industry. Every little bit wants to grow, right? That I'm saying is the wrong optimization program, right? But it is deploying resources for this purpose uh, needs to happen. Now, how does that happen? Well, people must want to live on a planet that works. Right? What are you hanging on to your trillions for? If you're not going to deploy it, you want to use it to go to Mars? Well, at least leave some behind and go there, right? Whatever you're not going to use on Mars, so that we can use it to deploy it. Basically, we believe this game of money, and that's how we are collecting resources among human beings and then deploying it for different purposes. That's what he meant. You need $1 million initially. You need an initial investment in buying the land and in setting up the resources to make it happen. Yeah.
So you're saying instead of having it like big pharma, big animal ag, doing a vegan rewilding economy, is that something that you're okay with, like growing something like that? I'm still just a little bit lost. I'm so sorry.
Now you're saying you want a big pharma running the vegan rewilding economy.
No, like having like a nature-backed economy where our economic growth is dependent on how much we help the environment out to rewild it and have a vegan rewilding economy that way, with vegan rewilding jobs and spending on vegan rewilding projects, something like that. Is that
Right.
something that's okay, acceptable for economic growth? Like the
It's not
like
for economic
rewilding?
growth. No. Economic growth should not be the motivation. The motivation should be to transition to a vegan rewilding economy, right? So for that transition, you can deploy resources from the old model. I mean, all the resources are currently in the old model, right? In the Planet A model. So but why would we use economic growth as the criteria for running that economy?
It would be to measure, the amount of rewilding that takes place. It's not,
Oh, I see. You're talking
doing,
about growing this one.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, not
Okay, got
like
it.
doing rewilding for the purpose of making money for the
Right.
purpose of rewilding. There we go.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, you got it right. Yeah.
So that one would be okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Go ahead, Barb.
There we go. I have to say, this one was so exciting to watch those planetary boundaries that we've seen each week in purple and getting worse, and watch them disappear just with trees and veganism. Basically, it's like that. Those are the two biggies right there. And
Right.
it was really neat to hear all of your facts along with this model going back to normal. I really enjoyed that. I did want to say my town is a town where the CO2 is coming to Decatur, Illinois, and in pipes, and they've been wanting to send more. They've been trying so hard, and our towns in this area have fought it off. They wanted to put something near an aquifer, the only aquifer for like about 1 million people, and and they fought that off. But it's so weird when you think of pipes going from state to state to state to state. They are ripping up all of that land, so all CO2 will be escaping, and they'll be pulling up plants and probably knocking down a tree or two, or And I kept thinking, they're doing all these things to make it worse, to bring these pipes, and they are leaking. They've leaked twice, but most people don't know the extent. I've seen a map working in where I work. I've seen a map of the damage indicator that, and it's a certain area where the CO2 has leaked out underneath the ground, and it's just there, so it hasn't been there that many years, this CO2 sequestration, but it's done a whole lot of damage. A couple of trees are sinking, the lawns are turning brown and sinking, and it's So it's I mean I could point out a ton more things because it's going across farmlands too, and then there's soybeans. They're turning yellow, and they stay that 15 years later. That damage is still there. So yeah, I'll stop. But it's like it's just crazy. And always I kept saying, "What about just planting trees? What about just planting trees?"
I know.
That would solve
Yeah.
it, just like that. So
Well,
of course there
yeah.
was a comment, but I wanted to make sure people know just how bad it really is. And those pipes can explode too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, just to tell everyone else, Barb is talking about a DOE project to sequester CO2 in some ancient traps or something underneath
Yeah.
Decatur, Illinois. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. And obviously, there are lots of issues with doing that. Trying to create a technology that mimics trees instead of planting trees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they don't want to give up eating meat. That's the main issue. Right? They don't want to give up eating animals and give up the system. It's about admitting that this system has been lying to us about protein and been lying to us about calcium. You have to make a lot of admissions, right, before you really implement this vegan rewilding solution.
True.
Right. So it's easier to, I mean, some company will come along and say, I can do the sequestration for you. Just give me a grant of $1 billion. So that's how these things go. I think ADM is involved in that CO2 sequestration project.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's our biggest industry in our town. And yeah, it is.
Oh, I see. Okay. Thank you for that comment.
All right.
Okay. I think Michael had a question. Yeah, Michael's question is, how can we ultimately have government and private persons to restrict lands for rewilding and on top to consider veganism? Yeah, these are radical shifts, I understand. But I'm looking for, one small nation or one city in a large nation, some cities in large nations who want to try this because we can come up with rollover plans. How do you create this? It doesn't have to be, initially just rewild everything and everybody goes vegan. No, it's give everybody healthy food for free. Okay, that's something that can happen very quickly. Are you really, really interested in the health of your population? Well, make sure that healthy whole plant foods are available for free in your city. Now that starts the turnover process, to the vegan rewilding solution. Okay, that's how you would engineer something like this. And there are already organizations like Food Yoga International that can make food in bulk, healthy food in bulk, whole plant foods. So they make a khichdi. They call it khichdi. It's basically a mixture of vegetables and rice and lentils all put together. It becomes a complete meal, which is what they give over to school children right now. I said, let's just expand that and make it available to everybody. Okay, for starters. Then you eradicate hunger in your city. Begin with, and you should see all the health indicators improve in your city. Is that an experiment that they can do? Yes, they can do that. So it's not asking everybody to go vegan. It's just giving them vegan food for free. And then eventually they will understand and you can explain why you're doing this and bring people along. So if there is a motivation to actually solve problems, we can do this. Yeah. But if you're just pretending to solve problems and not really interested in solving it, then you're going to do what you're doing now. So, go ahead, Carol.
I was talking to one of my sisters the other day who was visiting from Baltimore. And we're talking about all of this. And I have an item, something that my mother quilted for me on the back of my couch that's made out of wool, you know. And all of a sudden I'm talking to her and I spotted it and I says, oh my God, it's like I'm still integrating little by little. It's been 2 years, 4 months now that I've, become vegan, but still realizing different things. But then all of a sudden she says to me, well, what would be the harm with using lamb's wool? And I couldn't think of any reason why it would be harmful. So I want to ask you that because wouldn't it get too heavy for them and they would need to be, cut? I didn't know I had no clue what to say to her.
Yeah. Well, initially, I guess it was, we take a little bit of their wool and we use it for our purposes. It was a mutual, lamb was helping us thrive in cold climates. Okay. Then we
Yes.
started genetically selecting the lamb to produce a lot of wool, even though they
Okay.
don't need it, right? And then we started
Yeah.
shearing them with the industrial equipment. And that causes them to have, their skin gets cut off sometimes, all kinds of things happen. And it's considered
Okay.
cost of doing business. Some lambs
I
die in the
see.
process. So this is how, what started off as a mutual support mechanism, because we moved from Africa to cold places and we needed animals to help us. And they did,
Yes.
they helped us.
Yes.
Then slowly it
Yes.
became an industry. Because when you say, I want to go buy some wool so I can knit, you have to supply this wool. And someone is figuring out how to supply the wool at the least cost. Okay, so slowly all these pathologies build into the system.
Okay.
And then it becomes like commercialized and it becomes like exploitative. Yeah. So we see
Is
these
that
kinds of things happen, in everything that we do
is
because of
that
the
the
system.
same thing with
Sorry. Yeah.
that's okay. Is that the same thing with bees, honey?
Yeah. Similar things that happen. Bees honey,
Okay.
initially, maybe we were taking a little bit of it because it's medicine. For medicinal purposes, we take a little bit from the bees. Now we raise bees just for their honey and we put it in our cereal. We put it, it becomes an abuse of the animal, and then, because they don't want the queen bee to get up and move, so they clip her wings off.
Yeah.
And so all kinds of other
Mm.
exploitative
Yeah.
things happen. And we
Yeah.
take away all of their honey and we leave them sugar water instead for their
Mm.
babies.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's becoming aware of these things that have happened because of the industrialization of the processes, and then slowly saying, we need to change. And
Yeah.
this is as people who participate in the economy, as consumers, we can send signals saying we want change. And that's how you do it.
Thank you.
Sure. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Thank you. I was going to say, would it be a good idea to call out the industries, the companies, the people that are wanting to sequester that carbon. And then you started bringing up the free food, and there's that aspect of working on getting free food to people. But I like the way you phrased it, and I'm wondering if you have you know, is it vegan rewilding? We have so many fronts to work on. Where you think we should focus first, or is it everybody doing everything?
No, well, if you have any contacts in city government who want to help us out, yeah, bring those to the
Okay.
forefront, right? So wherever we have influence, we have to figure out how we can leverage our influence to help make the solution happen.
Okay.
And I believe that, once we have the why you want to do it, we'll figure out the how. Okay. And the motivation to actually implement it. We'll figure out the how.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oops, I have to do this.
And Rebecca, were you going to play the Sadhana Forest video or no? You're muted, or I cannot hear you.
I've got my microphone on one computer and my video on the other.
No.
I do have the animal sanctuary. Let me check and see if I have that other one about the
Yeah, you can play the Sai Sanctuary video also.
Okay.
It's an example of the rewilding projects that have happened.
Oh, okay. I'll do
Yeah,
that.
both Sadhana Forest and Sai Sanctuary are examples of rewilding that has happened. So I think it's been good for people to see. Go ahead, Brittany.
Well, I was wondering if we're doing vegan rewilding, where would be the best place to start in terms of being most impactful at this moment while we wait for the video?
No, the best places to start are usually the places where the deforestation just happened. And because there it's doesn't take much for the forest to come back, right? But if you start further away from when deforestation happened a long time ago, then you have to basically start from scratch, and you have to figure out how to get the animals back there and so on. But it's happened. Like Sadhana Forest was deforested, I think, in the 18th century. That area was deforested completely when the French were owning that land. So, but the Sai Sanctuary is an example of a rewilding that happened in a place that got deforested recently. So it had been converted from a forest into a coffee plantation, and Pamela and Anil Malhotra went there and they bought that coffee plantation with their private funds, and they let it go. They gave it back to the animals. And that's how that reforestation, rewilding happened. So I think we have the video of that Rebecca will play.
Before you start, I was just going to say that you did bring up a good point where it's very hard to explain to people about veganism, let alone rewilding, because there are a lot of plants that are associated with deforestation that people don't even think of, like the coffee, chocolate, and even for human consumption, soy is still a leader in deforestation as well. So it's like, how do we get the message across about veganism followed by like rewilding? I was just thinking starting with veganism first. Do you think that'd probably be the right way to go? Sorry for the interruption.
Oh, I mean, the basic idea is to return the land that's currently being used for grazing animals to the wild. This happens to be a rewilding that happened on land that had been deforested for coffee. So you'll see that. I'm not saying that we have to all stop drinking coffee and right. So that's not the primary focus. Primary focus is really getting rid of animal agriculture.
Yeah, because that's where most of the deforestation is. For me, I'm
Correct.
like, don't eat chocolate, don't eat coffee, because I take it way to an extreme. But because there's so many alternatives, and we don't even need those foods anyway.
Right.
But yeah, that's good to know. Probably just focus on the veganism. I just feel like the veganism will work itself out, where just going vegan alone probably would lead to a lot of either rewilding or prevention. So
Mhm.
after that, you can focus on the rest of it, the transformations, taking the animal agriculture and rewilding that, because we likely won't need that land if we're growing vegan food. So yeah, and now I get it. Thanks.
Right. Sure.
We had decided long ago that we were not going to have our own children. So because we don't have any offspring, human offspring, we have plenty of animals that are our foster kids that are still running around, but human children, we wanted to protect this forest and keep it forest in perpetuity. And the only way to do that, we decided, was to form a nonprofit trust. And that is how Sai Sanctuary Trust came about and evolved. This is another favorite area where the elephants come up and down from the river. My very first camera trap photos of the elephants were at night coming up and down from that river. And they had a little baby with them. It was very sweet. There are at least 30 species of trees that are fully dependent on elephants for propagation. Because their seeds are so big, only elephants can swallow them down and pass them whole. Other animals may eat the outer coating, but they can't swallow the seed whole. Only the elephants can. So without the elephants, you don't have these trees. If we can piece back together the migration corridor of elephants, the elephant corridors, when you do that of a great landscape animal like this, then you're protecting forests for virtually all the other animals too. And by doing this also, you cut down dramatically on human-animal conflict. We're seeing not only more of the same species we had in the past, but even additional species, some of which are quite endangered, like the Nilgiri marten. Of course, we have the Asian elephant. And over the past 6 years, the Asian elephants, they have come and given birth here in the sanctuary 4 times. 2 boys, 2 girls. Other animals are the endangered dhole. They first came a few years ago, a mom, dad, and 7 pups. Grass eaters like sambar and cheetal. We've also seen, for example, leopard cat. And so they come here because they are safe and they know they've got plenty of water. They can bring their young infants here, their young calves here, without fear of any kind of problems from humans. And this is a very positive thing. These trees are approximately 700 years old. And one of these trees is a micro-ecosystem for at least 50 other species of plants and animals. They are water-loving trees, and they're truly, truly magnificent. Rainforest areas, which most of India falls into that area, the forests themselves produce over 50% of the rainfall. So when air comes in from the ocean and then passes over our rainforests here in the Western Ghats, it actually affects monsoon rains down in the plains thousands of kilometers away, helping to produce the rainfall there. So the forests here are critical for rainfall, both above ground water sources and below ground aquifer sources of fresh water there. But what is happening here in Kodagu, when we first came here, from 86% forest cover in the late 1970s to no more than 16% forest cover today for the entire district of Kodagu. And this is having disastrous effects on rainfall patterns, not just in our district, but throughout the south, and the water supplies, not just in our district, but all through southern peninsula of India.
Your streams and rivers originate from a forest. That's why the Tunga, Bhadra and all have dried up. That's why the Ganges or the Ganga has been drastically reduced in size. Again, deforestation.
I'm sure that anyone in Bangalore or in Tamil Nadu, for that matter, remembers the court fights between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu over the use of the Kaveri River. That's because we're not getting the rainfalls in either location that we should have because forests have been cut down. So if we take this seriously, which we must, and protect our forests, we are ensuring the future of our water sources, both above ground and below ground. And again, this is where businesses can help a lot, the youth can help a lot, because it is your future that we're talking about. And by piecing this back together, we save our water sources, we ensure that the animals can keep the forest healthy and the forest can give home to the animals, we protect ourselves from climate change, and we set the groundwork for a healthier, more vibrant, richer in culture, in the spiritual values that make India, India.
This sanctuary is supposed to be a model of hope for all private individuals, companies, groups. Look, there is hope to save India still. Because if global warming continues due to massive deforestation and drying up of our rivers and streams, you will not have fresh water.
It's been the most fulfilling experience of our lives. It's been our life's work, and we'd love to pass on to others what we've learned and help inspire them. Because truly, our future as a beautiful, living planet is dependent on it. It's a dream place for us. It's just we've been very, very fortunate and blessed that the dream has become reality as well. And by being in nature, we've found that peace and solitude within. And that set the path of our lives.
That was beautiful. What was the name of that documentary?
Uh,
I'll place it in the chat.
Thank
hold on a
you,
second.
BJ.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to that sanctuary in 2009 for the first time. And I had this sense of perfection of nature in that sanctuary.
Yes.
And that used to be a coffee plantation in 1998.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. So nature has the capacity to heal very, very quickly. Is what we are finding in any of these projects. We are seeing that. We just have to bring our human engineered systems into alignment with nature, not in opposition to nature.
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to recruit engineers to come and help, to make that happen. Because these are all, everything is, it's human engineering that's causing planetary pathologies, right? So, and with the right objective functions, we can re-engineer things to
Yes.
be in alignment, so everything is set for us to make this transformation happen. Speaking to a former Microsoft engineer who is also a systems engineer, and we are figuring out how we can bring this solution to the public's attention so that there is pressure for governments to actually act on it.
Wonderful.
Yeah. We would like to recruit at least one city mayor to be on board, before we do that. So that's
Oh,
what he's
that'd be
working
great.
on. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
he's working on right now.
Okay, I'm going to be looking for a mayor also. There was a mayor outside of Dallas. I can't remember the name of the town for sure, but he started plant-based. He got the town to move toward plant-based living for health
wonderful.
reasons.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, wow.
he did great.
Yeah.
Maybe Colorado's a place to look. I know a lot of initiatives are around there. I look at foraging maps, for instance. Most of the entries are in Colorado. Actually, I buy from a lot of the vegan companies I buy from are in Colorado, everything like that. And they kind of care for nature a lot there. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, we need to make an minimum viable experiment, right? Some kind of experiment that we can show. This is how you transition to a Planet B system. And and we would love to do it before COP31 so that we can, talk about it during COP31 and gain some momentum going forward.
When is that taking place, COP31?
That's November 9th through 20th in Turkey, Antalya, Turkey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Almost
We did
the end of the year.
Yeah, almost the end of the year, yes.
Okay.
Can I interject something here? Pat Brown of Impossible Foods is rewilding. I think it's in Arkansas. I don't know how
Correct.
long it's going to take to get those trees, grown enough that you can use that as an example. But he is working on that.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
We did show his documentary during one of our VCOPs earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So CJ has a question in the chat. What is the optimum human population for the planet?
Good question.
Well, that depends on, when you look at it, and what time horizon are you looking at? Right now, I think the human population we have is perfectly fine. We can feed all human beings a healthy vegan diet, and we can take care of their shelter needs and so on, so that we can all come together and solve all the problems that we are facing. Okay. But then over time, if you look at the steady state, our biomass, or the weight of human beings alone, is double the weight of all the wild animals that lived 10,000 years ago. So clearly, we are not at a sustainable population at the current state. But right now, the planet is not only supporting our food, it's also giving food for our animals. So, and our animals are eating 4.5 times as much food as we eat, almost 5 times as much food as we eat. So they are the equivalent of 10 times the biomass of all the wild animals that lived 10,000 years ago. So the planet can temporarily support our current population. There is no need to say that we have to, wipe out 80% of humanity and then we'll be sustainable, which is what everybody is trying to do. And I think that's absolutely not necessary at all. Okay? We just have to stop bringing animals into the world. So
Dr.
Brittany, and
Rao?
then, yes.
Oh, go ahead. Brittany can go first.
Going to do a quick comment about the rewilding ideas with cities. My city, especially my part of my city, because it was joined together multiple cities into one, was actually considered an economic. Sorry, not economic. It's considered a model for the rest of the country. A lot of cities around here were built as models for the rest of the country in terms of sustainability. And so mine was not just hydroelectric power. I think my city was probably the first to kind of demonstrate it with lighting and everything back during Edison's time. But it was also based off of the idea of an agro-city where you grow your own food inside of a city, and it was back in the 1800s. So if we want to look towards rewilding and cities, I would say a lot of it would be at least where I live, because when you go around, you'll see a lot of people growing their own food. And so you don't need to have a lot of extra space allocated around cities so that they'd have to be transported in and all of that. That can really mess up the environment. So, these models, I believe, do exist in probably a lot of cities. I think my city probably was a pioneer in a lot of technology, and it was designated for something that was meant to be showcased. So maybe mine is unique in that. But maybe the more we look, the more we'll find that we probably don't even need to try to make something happen when it already exists. So I guess it probably just takes some research,
Yeah, well, if you know your mayor, see if they would be interested in participating in this.
Yeah, I
B.
could try to ask. Because
Sure.
they were involved in creating a whole lot of healthy initiatives and all that. It's like with my city, it's the government tries to do right to help out the environment. It's usually the citizens that, with a lot of these initiatives, that like wants all the animal products and goes against the government or tries to push it, and so yeah, I could try. So you said like trying to talk to the mayor or something.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sister Carol.
In the last paragraph of this chapter, you were talking about the biosphere. Integrity is the worst of the 6 planetary boundary transgressions, and if we let wild animals die off, we will also die off. So, but we have already let so many of them die off. So I'm just wondering, like, what percentage of wild animals have we already let die off, or how many are still alive? Do you know a statistic on that?
Yeah, we have a pretty good idea in terms of total biomass of animals in our weight class. We have wiped out almost 90% of them compared to what they were 10,000 years ago.
So we only have 10% left
Yeah.
living.
Left living, yeah.
That
And
is so critical.
right. That's why it's at high risk of destabilizing the life support systems of the planet. So that transgression, biosphere integrity transgression, and the novel entities transgression are both considered to be at high risk of destabilizing the life support systems of the planet. Now, we don't know how this destabilization could happen. It could be in the oxygen cycle or photosynthesis, something like that. Something critical to life could get messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like it happened in rivers, right? To the poor fishes. They lost all their oxygen. So basically they suffocated to death. Because we sucked all the oxygen out of the water with our nitrogen runoffs. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
Sure. But until we try, we won't know if it's gone past the point of no return. And these projects like the Sai Sanctuary and in Southern Forest give us hope, saying, the animals are saying, hey, I want to come back. If we just make it easy for us, we are happy to come back. That's what they're trying to tell us.
Yes.
I just would like to know what city Brittany was talking about. She's talking about her city being a model. I would love to know what city that is.
Okay.
I try not to give away where I live in general, but I could message you about my city and kind of write about it. You want like a private message? Here you go. Well, you're on mute.
Okay.
I don't know how to get a private message from here, but
Okay, I'll
if
send
you
it
look
to
on
you.
the chat, you'll see different tabs.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll work on it.
All right. Thank you all. It's been, as usual, a stimulating discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Rao, and everybody.
And
Thank
please
you.
come back tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about solutions from now on.
The house is burning, but we're still sitting in the glow. Phones charged, lights on, pretending we don't know. But the forest is silent, the river's running low, and the flame on our plates is the strongest fire we throw. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. 7 boundaries broken, the earth pushed past the line. Climate, land, species, fresh water, chemicals, nutrients, oceans in decline. Not danger, disaster in real time. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Metaphorians rise, this is your power. is not just milk. Dairy feeds the flame. Cows and methane. Fields and forests turn to grain. Politics, culture, carbon, all wired to the same chain. Every cup of curd is heat in the air. Every block of butter is a forest repair. It's not a small habit, it's a planetary affair. Put out the fire. Put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is our hour. Energy fixes half the hurt, Dr. Rao made that clear. But food fixes the other half, the half that's burning here. Change the plate, change the land, change the future's atmosphere. Put out the fire. Put out the fire. Metafoodians unite, this is your choir. Every millet, every fruit, every sapseed, every bean is water on the wildfire of a world we've never seen. Every oil-free bite is a river turning clean. This is not perfection, it's direction, not pressure but protection. A week of choices can cool a generation. A company's courage can ignite a nation. Put out the fire. Ooh, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. Metafoodians unite, Metafoodians ignite, sharing love in the meta zone, light in the path to a cooler home. Put out the fire.